So welcome to the briefing room. And today's guest is someone I've been excited to bring into the briefing room. Jeremiah Smith is the owner of Everyone Inc., a consulting and grant writing firm that has quietly helped nonprofits across Arizona secure the support they need to move their mission forward. His team has partnered with more than 100 organizations and unlocked millions in funding, strengthening the backbone of community-focused work across the state. But beyond his resume, here's why this conversation matters to me. Jeremiah and I met a few years back, running in the same circles, crossing paths with the same people, and having those classic West Valley moments where you discover your mother-in-law works with his wife. Those overlaps turned into a collaboration, deeper conversations, and a friendship I genuinely appreciate. Jeremiah brings a different view of leadership and how he sees himself as a leader, and I think it's going to resonate with our viewers. It's simple, grounded, and genuine. Today, we're going to unpack that teaching, dig into the story behind Everyone Inc., and explore how this leadership lens has shaped the company he's building. So let's get into it. Welcome, Jeremiah.
Oh, thanks, Michelle.
Yeah. Are you excited to be here?
I'm excited to spend time with you.
That works. So you give a disarming conversation about leadership to a lot of our alumni and our new classes. And in fact, you say that you don't even see yourself as a leader at all. Do you want to talk about that core principle or that thought, that teaching that you have, and where do you see people misunderstand leadership the most?
Yeah, I think that when I started Leadership West, however many years ago that was now, I didn't see myself as a leader in any way. And then I think through our friendship and through some of the books that I read, some of the learning, some of the conversations, started to kind of see leadership on a broader spectrum, where I kind of started to see myself in some of those spaces. But I think what one of the things that people misunderstand, or the thing that I think I misunderstood, is I used to try really hard to be a leader, to lead people, right? But that's not my decision if somebody follows me, right? Yeah. If nobody's following me, I'm not a leader.
True.
I could be doing great things, and if I'm all by myself, I'm just by definition, quite literally, I'm not leading anyone, right? I might be growing and I might be doing amazing things, but I'm not leading when we think about that word. And so the moment that someone becomes a leader is when someone else decides to follow that person, right? And I worked so hard because I thought that was the goal, that was success. And then you get frustrated if these people aren't doing what you're asking them to do or doing what you're doing. And it's really kind of the antithesis of leadership, right? Is to start like judging and getting frustrated and angry with people because of the choices that they're making, right? Yeah. Like you give them no freedom, no autonomy, no personal choice or anything like that. And so I think that for myself on my own journey, that gave me the freedom to just kind of be myself freely in spaces, not to have to take up the leader space, to be the biggest voice, the loudest voice, the first voice, the whatever that looked like. I could just sit in a space and listen and look for opportunities to contribute or to help or to ask or to challenge or whatever the role was. Yeah. But I didn't have to be that leader, if that makes sense. And then I think it's just, I'm sure that we're going to talk about my work and some of those things, but I think that this really common story or theme, like throughout my life, has been like when I stopped trying really hard to accomplish something and just become the person I'm supposed to be or that I can be, whatever happens is much better than what I was planning and trying to create on my own, right? And so this idea of being a leader, I've always failed. I always failed at it, right? I was bad at it.
You probably weren't bad. It just wasn't what you probably thought in your mind.
No, I was bad. I was bad because like those spaces, like in like before I stopped working in traditional jobs, and when I was supervisor or director, or when I had those titles, I was bad at those. I was bad at managing people because there was such a pressure on me to be a certain way. And more than that, for those people I was leading to like have these like TV sitcom moments, right? Where like, oh, we have some adversity, but I give you the speech. And then the last scene is like, I get it. Thank you so much for saving my life. You know, like I thought that's what it was supposed to be. And it's not ever like that. And then I was just always felt disappointed. But like you take that pressure off and you can just be yourself authentically in space, make mistakes, ask questions, be curious. And then people start to say things to you like, hey, I just want to thank you for that conversation that we had last week. Or, you know, hey, last year when I was going through that time of my life that was really difficult, thank you for being there for me, right? Like that's so much more meaningful than getting a good performance review and saying, hey, you're doing a really good job being a leader, or you have more followers than somebody else, or whatever the case is.
So when did you just throw your hands up and go, I'm just going to be me? Whether that's leadership or not, I don't even care. I'm just going to do it my way.
Yeah, honestly, probably about 15 years ago now. It's really funny. So like when I talk about myself back then, I think I'm really harsh, but also like I think I'm really honest, because like I don't think nobody knew me as well as I knew me. I was really selfish, really arrogant. I was just not a good person. It's not a person that I would want to be.
So hard for
like.
me to even imagine.
No, it's true
with
though.
who you are today and the version I know.
Yeah.
That just seems like I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah. So, but that's like that moment right there.
Yeah.
That means everything to me.
Yeah.
Like more than any other kind of any other accolade, anything you could get for someone that I feel is a good friend that knows me to say, I don't see that in you.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm reading my story, you know, and you're seeing the character like grow, and I'm like, oh, it must be real. I must really be growing and becoming something better than I was, because like I still have those thoughts and those feelings like, oh, like I should have said this, or I should have done this, or I should have been more patient here, or whatever. Yeah, so I don't know. It's awesome to you have little micro moments of getting those feedbacks and things like that. So I think I'm way off of what our original question was.
No,
but,
that's okay. Life.
Yeah,
this is
leadership
how it actually works, right?
I think when it comes down to it, a lot of people try real hard to be a leader, and that can actually get in the way of just becoming a better person. Hopefully the goal is to be the better person every day.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, because it's really about who you are, right? Are you somebody that people actually want to follow?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get there.
Yeah.
To just be that better person.
Yeah.
And then people want to be with you.
Yeah.
People want to hang out with you.
The best part about that is then the work for you to do is to find those people that you want to be like, find those examples, right? So like all you can do is choose to follow.
Yeah.
You know, so who are you following? What are you following? And hopefully you're doing it, you know, you're choosing admirable and worthy people and paths, and you're doing it in a way that other people recognize, and like, oh, I love how Michelle is always so kind or so patient or so whatever they see, like I really want to be more like Michelle in that space too, right? And then that way you're now a leader because other people are wanting to be more like you.
True. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. So I recently read an article with you at Voyager. I think, was it Voyager?
Something like that.
Let me give you a shout out. Thanks, Voyager. And I did not know your origin story of Everyone Inc.
Yeah.
And can you tell a little bit about how you got into this industry and how that happened? Like, it was a remarkable story. I was reading this, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I honestly just kind of by chance, really. I think the same thing. I left the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, like for my career of what it was going to be. And then it just kind of happened to me. But I was a social worker at the time. And then I would go into meetings where we were designing programs. And so there would be development people in the meetings, including a grant writer. And at the time, I was, again, too young, too selfish, too self-absorbed, too whatever, to realize that this was a semi-retired gentleman. He had had a 40-year career, and now he was consulting on the back end of his career. He was doing grants, and he would come to these meetings, and I thought, man, he's got no stress. Everyone loves him. That's the job I need. I was so clueless. I'm like, he's wearing flip-flops to meetings. It's so cool.
No, he was not.
Oh, of course he was. Shorts and flip-flops. This guy, what does he care, right? I'm like, I need to be a grant writer. And then so pursued it. And the first grant writing job I got was, a regular employee, 9 to 5. I had a boss. I had timesheets. I had to wear, suits.
You had to wear shoes.
I'm like,
shoes.
I'm like, what's wrong? This is not how it's supposed to go, And I remember reaching back out and having this conversation with him and telling him like, oh, I was really inspired by you. I wanted to have your job, but it's this. I'm listing off all these things. He's like, yeah, that's called a job, Jeremiah. He's like, I had a job for 40 years. Now I do this. Sometimes I do this. Most of the time I'm traveling. Like, you didn't want to be a grant writer. You wanted to be retired. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to be, And I'm like, well, as long as I'm in this job, I might as well stick with it. And then, met some other folks that were consulting at the time and told them like, hey, eventually I know this is where I want to be. I want to get good enough at this and have the network that I can consult. And there was a wonderful woman who was a mentor, and she just made it happen. She's like, oh, you want to consult? Well, then consult. Like, there's this group, this nonprofit reached out to me. I don't want any more business, so I'm going to tell them to hire you. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. I don't have a business. I don't have anything. And she's like, this weekend, you go form your LLC, you get a bank account. I'll give you a copy of my contract, and I'll give you all these things. You have lunch with me on Wednesday. They'll be there. I tell them that they're hiring you, and now you're a consultant. And that's really like how it started. Like, I tell people all the time, like, oh, like this was all given to me. So like, I'll give my time, I'll give my network, I'll give anything I have, I'll give it away. And I tell people all the time because it was given to me, but I quite literally, it was handed like, this is a long time ago. She was printing everything off and handing me contracts that I was like white out and like writing my name in and things like that. But yeah, it was all given to me.
One weekend.
Yeah.
To like do all the back
this was like a Thursday, and we had like a lunch meeting on a Wednesday. I had to get it all in line so that they could sign this contract. And then I'm like,
for the record, there were computers back then.
There were computers, true. Yes, it's true. It's not that long ago.
That old people, for the record.
But yeah, it was just, it just happened. And then I remember, being so afraid, really. And she's like, well, if you're not good at it, it won't work out. Don't worry about it. If you failed, then do something else. Like it was no big deal to her. And my wife had a great job. She was the breadwinner. All of our insurance was through her. Like there was no risk for me, really. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it just, so far, it's worked. Maybe someday it won't. Maybe I'll fail eventually, but I haven't failed yet.
Did you stay in both roles? Like, so you were doing your 9 to 5 and then doing this on the side?
Yeah. So I stayed on staff as a grant writer for probably at least a year, a little bit longer. And then I had, contracts on the side. And within that first year, I had, I think maybe like 2 really small contracts on the side. And I was making as much as my 9 to 5. I was working a really small nonprofit. Like it was, I think, honestly, $13, maybe $14 an hour, whatever it was, at the time. And I was like doing the math, and I'm like, I work like 10 hours a month, 15 hours a month over here, and I'm working like 200 hours a month over here. Maybe I should just spend more time on this consulting side. And so, I had the conversation with my wife, and, same thing. She was like, I don't know why you're already doing both. Why can't you just keep doing both? I'm like, why can't we have both those incomes?
Yeah.
Neither one was very much, but I was just like, this one's killing me. I'm just, same like you asked me, I wasn't a good leader. I'm not a good traditional employee. I'm not. The things that make me really good at my job make me a bad employee.
In the traditional sense.
Yes, in the traditional sense. I'm very curious. I'm very outspoken. I love to ask questions. And like, if I want to wear flip-flops, why can't I wear flip-flops? That doesn't make sense to me, right? But like in a corporate setting, that's frowned upon.
And I found that refreshing. It's like disarming. Yeah. Because I remember that first, I had already met you a couple times, but that first night, like, why are you here? Guys, I don't really know. I'm here to learn. I don't know. So, like, a lot of friends told me to do it. Yeah. And most people are not that honest. And so I just found a connection like, Yeah, another honest person. I really
Yeah.
like this.
Good. Because it's not always received in that way.
No. Yeah, that's
So.
funny. So do you look back at that moment? Do you think you would have still done it had you not done it at that fork in the road?
No,
Or do you think you would have just kind of...
I don't think I would have ever taken that. I'm very risk adverse.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there was just something, again, it just happened the way it happened, and I didn't mess it up, but it was literally just handed to me, this opportunity, because even if I had failed, I would just gotten another job, and it would have been a lateral, it would have been no loss. You know what I mean? So it was just an easy way for me to take that risk. And so when I talk to other people, and like, I want to build a business like you did, I'm like, no, you don't, because you're going to have to take a chance. You might have to like actually make sacrifices. Like, I'm like, it was real easy for me. For those first like 8-9 years, I worked like 10 hours a week. My girls grew up and I took care of them all the time. I'd spent a lot of time with my girls, and I would work when I wanted to. And my wife worked really hard and made all the money. You know, it was really, really convenient for me. And then as the girls grew up and those roles changed, I, just stepped into it. But yeah, I've never had to sacrifice anything for this work. You know what I mean? And I think for most people, they have to make sacrifices and choices, and it's really difficult. And I don't want to take that lightly. At what that means for them when you have to really like build something through hard work and determination and perseverance. It just hasn't been that for me.
I think the sacrifice looks different. So you sacrificed title, climbing the corporate ladder, you've sacrificed pensions, there are things you actually have sacrificed. Yeah. They just weren't as important to you. You valued different things. You valued freedom. You valued curiosity, and I think that's why it looks different. Yeah. So for that's you, fair. I think the smaller move would have been to remain untrue to yourself and to stay in an environment that didn't fit you, that didn't make you happy. You know. Yeah,
that would have been okay. I'll receive that. That would have been the safer. That would have been
the safer thing, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think sometimes even people doing it too gives the courage to the other person. Yeah. So whether or not they're set up the same way, like, but them saying, well, but Jeremiah did it. Maybe I could too.
And those are the moments where like, oh, I wish I could give you advice, but I can't. But I can give you introductions. I can give you connections. I can like, what do I have that I can give you? Because I can't give you like, oh, this is the pathway. Here in year 1, you do this. Year 2, you do this. I can't do that because, like I said, that's not my story. But I know so many amazing people like you, and I've been in spaces, and I've been just I've been given favor to be in this chair having this conversation. This is dumb. I shouldn't be here. There's no reason for me to be here. But like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that like all these little things have added up to like, I know you respect me. That's crazy. And we get to have this conversation. Why should anybody care about what I have to say?
I think when you see somebody that's doing something you want to do, that is saying something, you're living your life, and that gives somebody that faith and that hope and that courage that, well, if somebody else can do it, then maybe I can too. Oh, you're very kind. Just like that, living that out. And I think it's the same thing with that woman. However you saw yourself, nobody helps somebody they hate or they dislike. Nobody.
Do you know what?
I rarely take those coffees. Like, I'm like,
Do you know what I would tell people is that, like, okay, the best thing that I've ever done in my career is just be likable, because like, this is true. Like, all of my business just comes word of mouth. Like, I don't solicit business in any way, but I'm usually the only grant writer somebody knows. And usually it's not even because we've worked together. It's just because they know me, they find out what I do, and it's singular, and so they might remember like, oh, I know somebody that does grants, right?
I know somebody that has all the words.
They're like, yeah, I like him. He's really good, but they don't know if I'm any good. I could be terrible, but they like, I like talking to him, so like, he must be good at his job. I don't know the correlation, but like, all the time I'll have somebody reach out to me. I'm like, oh, that's so great. How did you get our information? And like, oh, I talked to so and so. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then in my mind, I'm like, never worked with them. Like, we met that one time at that event or something. I gave him a card, but like, so now that's the other part. I always try to like really hard to like pay off those introductions or those referrals, because I want that other person to look good. I want them to look like they know, like, oh, this guy, he's the best. Like, whatever advice I give you, it's the best advice. And I want to like always pay that off. But yeah, like most people that like share my name with somebody else, they've never actually worked with me. They don't know if I'm any good at this job. They might have like met me at an event or something. Like, he's a nice guy, I like him.
I'm guessing you're doing a pretty good job.
I think, in all humility, I am really good at this work.
Yeah,
they're lucky.
yeah,
I am, but they don't know that. They don't know that.
It goes to the what are people saying about you when you're not in the room?
Yeah.
It must be good stuff because
so.
they're handing out your card. They're
so.
saying you should talk to, you should meet. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a hope. I think it's happening.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
It's funny to
I
me.
just think that's amazing that somebody helped you and is doing that. So we're going to go into transitions for a minute because I feel like we're all living them, whether we like it or not. So leaders live in seasons of transition. What is the most recent transition you've had to lead through, or are you currently navigating through one?
I was thinking about this when you kind of shared the questions earlier. Yeah. Like big transition life. Both of our girls are now in college, out of the house, or they were in college actually. So like this kind of like kids becoming adults, that transition.
Yeah.
And like maybe other parents out there think of parenting as leading or not, whatever. But I think it's really interesting. Just the parallels between like traditional leadership, like in the workplace or in the community, and then like, but as a parent, like being a leader in your home, and like as our girls have grown up and then moved out of the house and into these other roles, like the way in which I have to consider them and listen to them or speak to them. And like, right. Like, I'm just hoping like, well, I hope I built the relationship when they were younger that now they trust me and are, curious about what I might think or what I might do. And you just have to kind of really sit back and wait to see if they're asking you the questions and taking your advice and things like that.
I love that because I think that's been my whole thing is if you make the deposits early.
Yes.
Then you can write those checks later in life.
That's the hope, right?
It's your retirement plan. Like if I can invest in my kids 0 through 18, then the 18 plus is going to be amazing. Yeah. Is it working so far?
Yeah, I feel like it. Yeah. I have still really great relationships with both girls. They call and text. We talk all the time, because you never know. I guess it's working. And then I see that like even in the more recent years, like my work has grown into a firm and we have associates and I have teammates and colleagues, which, I didn't have for a long time. It was just me working by myself. And,
what was that like? So how long did you work by yourself?
Probably almost 10 years. I mean, yeah, probably 8 years, worked by myself. And then again, as the girls got older, didn't need or want my time, in those high school once they have a driver's license. And then our girls are really close in age. And so as soon as one got the driver's license, the other one was getting ready for her permit and they were driving and, they don't want me around, which I get. And then I had all this time to fill. So I start working more, but then I realized like, I don't want to work this much. So like, I need someone to help me. And then, then comes along Gabe and first associate, and then Maddie, and then Paige, and then there's a team of us. And I was really nervous because I'm not good at leading, like formal, like being the boss. I'm not good at those things, right? And so I'm like, I was just really honest with them up front. Like, this is how I work. I know that's not conducive to a team. Like these things I do are not going to be good for you. So like, let's talk about like, what do you need? What do you want? Like, let's figure out how to work together. Gabe was really good at like putting all that together and making it work. He's great in those spaces. And so like, we made a really good team. But that was really like late 2020, early 21, like when Gabe started going through a transition in his career and then was able to like give me some time. And then Maddie went through her, work transition and I'm like, oh, well, we need more help. You could help us. And then Paige graduated and she was like, I know, I'm looking for some work. I'm like, we need more help. You can help us. So
that is actually interesting. Your transition attracted others in transition.
Yeah. And it just, again, it just really, it just lined up where there were these people that were already in my life. Had a relationship with them. I loved, not working with them in a professional setting, but sitting and talking, or, we would do other things in the community. And as soon as they said like, oh, I really don't know what I'm going to do right now. Right. This contract is ending, or I don't think I'm going to go back to that role or whatever. And I'm like, well, while you figure it out, would you be willing to help me? And then that transition period is now, 3, 4, 5 years, that for some of them that we've been a team. And, they still do things on the side. This is, very flexible work. So
did you know Gabe prior, like in your other world, like before you were a consultant?
So when Gabe was in the executive pastor at a local church, I was running Goodyear's Faith and Community Roundtable. So I knew him when he was Pastor Gabe, because he would be part of our roundtable for the city of Goodyear. And he was we really got along really well. I liked spending time with him and talking to him and things like that. And then as the roundtable, we had a small like volunteer kind of leadership group. And when we would want to know what the pastors were thinking, or we would pull Gabe in, hey, can we ask you some questions as a pastor? Like, what if we did this? What if we did that? And there was one meeting in particular. This is how I knew, like, oh, I like this guy a lot. Is we were trying to figure out how to just get more pastors to come to the meeting. Great representation from folks in the city and from local nonprofits, even the business community. Like the group was growing, but not like in the faith community. We just didn't have a lot of pastors that would come, other than like Gabe, and there's maybe one other. Yeah, so we were like, this is really important. That we need these guys here. He's like, can I just ask you, like, why do you even want pastors there? And I'm like, I wasn't prepared for that question. And I'm also like, well, you're the pastor. You should know. You're the most important person.
You tell me,
right?
that's
Like,
why
you
you're
get
here.
it, right? But just the question that he asked and the way he asked it, and the conversation we walked through, like, okay, you're right. I'm hung up on this other piece, and that's not actually important. What I care about is over here. So like we totally changed, everything and the questions and things, but I just like, oh, like I like people that are challenging or, thoughtful and ask different questions. And he was like that. So I'm like, oh, you'll be great. When he was looking for some kind of like work to help him through a little time in his life, I'm like, oh, like come ask those questions with, our clients and people that we're with. So yeah, so I did know him before we worked together, and that's why I was really excited to start working together.
Again, he was looking for a guide, whether he knew it or not. Yeah. I think that's what we do. We are drawn to those that we think we need.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I think that's awesome. So did you learn a lesson about yourself during that? Like, has it felt good to kind of go, hey, you're in transition. You can't hire everybody.
Yeah.
Have other people come to you like, I don't know what to do. Because most people don't know. He's also the coffee shop mayor. One of our local coffee shops, actually, too. Because I think people want to just chat you up. And you're becoming this like wise coffee shop mayor thing.
Can I say, what I think has been another lesson? Because it's a joke, but it's also really true. I have lots of really great relationships in my life because I was at the coffee shop.
You were available.
And I was available, and I was like consistent and predictable. Like people knew, hey, if I come to this coffee shop in the morning, usually, between like 7 and 10 or whatever at least, like this guy, even if they don't know who that guy is or what he does, like that guy is going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, no fail, somebody wants to know, like, hey, I see you here all the time. Can I just ask what you do? And then you tell them, like, I work with nonprofits. I do this. Like, oh, that's really great. And then, that doesn't mean anything. Or they're like, oh, I started a nonprofit, or my sister runs a nonprofit, or I volunteer at this nonprofit. I'm like, yeah, that's great. If they have any questions, they need anything, like, here's my card, give them my information. I'll help them if I can, or, whatever the case is. But Paige, who works with us, because she worked at the coffee shop. And so I spent years just talking to her every day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then when she was in school, she needed an internship. She had a really hard time finding an internship. And so I helped her find an internship, which actually ended up being like I was her internship, and then just put her with different like nonprofit clients and things like that. And, yeah, I've gone to like kids' weddings, and like we've like gone on vacation with people, all just because I'm at the coffee. You know, I have like so many great friends that like work not just at the coffee shop or Saddle or New Penny, or, you know, my insurance agent is next door to the coffee shop. My dog groomer is next door to the coffee shop. It's like all these people that I see all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, we're at the shop right here. I'm like, oh, I'll come by. I need that. I'll come by and see. And so like, and it just becomes, you know, my people, my community. So
We were just talking about that this weekend, about how people are longing for that community that you used to see in the movies, where you knew the people when you went to the coffee shop. They know your order, you know the dog, and you're describing what people I think are longing for right now is that community and that sense of being known and knowing others.
Yeah.
And like
I've been at functions or events when someone's like, you look so familiar.
Do I know you?
And I have to go through, you know, well, because, you know, my wife is a principal for a very long time. So that's usually, you know, there's thousands of families that way. I'm like, or it could be this, or, you know, and always like, it could just be, do you go to this coffee shop? Like, I do. You're the guy from the coffee shop. I'm like, I'm the guy from the coffee shop. That's me. So
It's me. So when you look at your company today, what's one decision, value, or habit that has shaped the culture or the trajectory of Everyone Inc.?
this is what I'll say. I didn't build a company, right? I didn't have a plan. Like, I think, you know, we've been, some of these questions, some of this conversation, it has really just kind of happened to me. And so I think that allowing that to remain true, to like never see a little bit of success and decide like, okay, well, now I have to take control. Now I have to start crafting it and making sure that it grows or it hits certain metrics. Like, so, which it's hard to do when something feels successful. Like, you want to, like, you know, just make it bigger and better, you know, and even though like, I don't believe that, I've learned that my whole life. That's what success looks like, right? $1 million, like $1 billion, or what, more employees, a bigger office, whatever. And so it's like it's like a reflex. And so like, it's hard for me not to, like, you know, follow that reflex of like, no, that's actually not important to me. And it's not what has led to our success. And so I don't want to like chase those things. Yeah. So yeah, I think that for me, the what has been consistent, or it has really been like, being content with whatever it is, whether it's small or big or growing or stagnant, whatever. Like, okay, I'm happy with what it is, and I'm going to be my best in this, whether it's a small group or a large group, or we have lots of employees or no employees. Like, I'm going to consistently show up regardless of those circumstances, right? And it just so happens that like for a few years now, like those circumstances have been like outwardly appearing successful to people, right? Like, you get awards or you get contracts or things like that. And then people are like, oh, wow, you must be doing a great job. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. I know that's what it looks like to you, but like, I have 15 years of stories that feel like I've been doing a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think you knew what culture you wanted. You're like, I didn't want to be this. Even if that's all it was.
There's the power of like, of the negative of like, I don't want to be like this group or place or this experience I had.
So you kind of created a culture of like the antithesis of all the things.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, and I'm going to find people that are like me.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just created culture, or at least circled yourself with the same culture. And then, like you said, you got to tell yourself, and I've got to be okay with that. I've got to be content. I love that, because I think some people get trapped in the more.
Yeah.
And that's when people kind of go and they lead beyond their capabilities, or they go take the more money. instead of just staying where they were actually happy. And so I think there's just a huge lesson to be learned in that content space. We don't, I think, as Americans do that well.
I think
or just even, I don't know, just us in some of these spaces, it's hard. So hard.
We will say, like, especially Gabe and I, when it's, we get introduced to someone, or a referral, or like a possible client or something, and we'll tell them all the time, like, we're going to try everything we can. We're going to find every reason that we should not work together. Because people are like, how do you work? How does it pay in the contract? How does that work? Right? Because they're waiting for the pitch and all that. And I'm like, oh, I doubt that there's a contract here. Like, we'll meet, we'll talk, I'll ask you questions, and we'll talk through what you're doing, and I'll help you in any way I can, but there's probably not a contract here. I'm like, but I might be wrong, right? Like, I'm open to being wrong. And that's kind of like kind of the backwards way we've taken it. But one, by chance, right? And that was originally because I was avoiding work.
Yeah.
I only wanted a couple hours a week because my girls, my wife, all those things were the priority, right? I didn't want work to compete, and I didn't need the money, so I didn't have to. I had that luxury. I get it. But what that kind of accidentally turned into was like I've kept that same approach, formalized it within my team. They know, they have these conversations. They tell people all the time, like, oh, I don't know that will actually be a contract, but we'll help you however we can, right? Yeah. But that builds trust.
It's true.
Because then when I had a group recently, we actually just started contracting in December. So just a month ago, right? I've been working and meeting with these people for probably 2 years, telling them there's no contract here. It's not worth it for you to hire us. There's not a return for you. Like, just go do this step, or go, do this activity to get ready for it. So that now, like 2 years later, when I tell them, you should hire us, like, you're at a place where this makes a lot of sense. Like, hopefully they believe it, because it's not just me trying to, get a contract or get dollars from them or whatever, right? But that just happened accidentally for me. Like, no, like, I'm not taking on clients right now, right? And then realizing that, I think what's funnier to me, like, the lesson I've learned is, like, growing isn't bad. Like, it isn't only bad. Yeah. And that was really, I was really, really, really hesitant, like, to even, like, bring on Gabe and then bring on extra clients. Cause, like, I thought what made my work meaningful and what made me effective was keeping it so small. And so I had convinced myself, like, well, if you start growing, like, you're going to be like everybody else. You're going to become real corporate and cold, and it's just money, and you won't know the people, and you won't work on the projects that you care about. You're just going to take all these, whatever it was. And so it's taken, the last 4 or 5 years of adding people to the team and adding clients to the portfolio to still feel like, oh, I love every one of these projects. I'm excited about every one of them. We show up for them the same way as if they were our only client, and then realizing, like, okay, like, it's okay if we grow. Like, I'm still not pursuing it. It's not the goal, but as it happens, I'm not rejecting it or afraid of it.
I love how you're already challenging your own assumption.
Yeah.
Of, like, it could be good, bad. It's just kind of one of those indifference words. But that is even a transition, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to go from working by myself to, like, having a team has been a huge transition and a huge challenge. And, like, it's really, they'll joke because I hate it. Like, don't tell people I'm your boss. Like, but you are my boss. I'm like, well, no, in this one little space, yes, I've been doing it longer than you, but, like, also, like, that's not who I'm just so uncomfortable with all of that. And my team does a good job of, like, challenging that all the time.
But even that transition of small will equal more meaningful work.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to transition to a little bit bigger can still mean meaningful work. Yeah. I don't know what I don't know. Hopefully we're friends long enough to know if you ever hit that wall. But yeah. So in closing, do you have anything you wanted to share, or wanted me to ask you that I didn't get to ask you?
I thought maybe we would talk more about Leadership West and its role in my journey. And
sure.
I don't think it's inconsequential.
Good.
I think that, again,
goes back to what you're saying though. Sometimes you're just like, oh, it's just a meeting.
Yeah.
Or it's just like a conversation and we don't actually understand the impact we're making at the time.
Well, you told the story of like, I came the first night and you're like, what are you, you know, everyone has like these really either profound or kind of manufactured responses. Like, I'm here to do this. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I have a friend who has been pushing me to do this. And finally I'm like, fine. She's great. I respect her. I trust her judgment. If she says I should do it, I should do it. But I don't know why I'm doing it.
Right.
And it was like maybe like one day later where I'm like, oh, this is going to change my life. And I think probably that first or second night, even, I had always, I said I was not a good employee. You know, I'm challenging. I like to ask questions, all these things. And I had always thought, really framed that as a negative, like, oh, this is like a flaw in me that I need to manage when I'm like in this group of people. And it wasn't until like that weekend or, you know, that first week of Leadership West where you're like, oh, you're really curious, like, right? And just reframing that. And I'm like, I sat with that for so long, like literally going back to like third grade classrooms, like in my mind of like, yeah, it's not a negative thing. I just want to know why. I just want to know all of it. It's not because I think it's a bad idea. It's because like it's just curiosity. And I'm like, and that has really changed so many things. Even like when I am like taking meetings or in spaces where I might read like, oh, this group, like there might be some tension the way I operate. So let me frame it like, hey, just to let you guys know, like, I'm just a naturally really curious person. I love to ask questions. If any of them make you uncomfortable, feel free not to answer them. Like, I think it's really cool what you're doing and I want to know more about it. But like, I would have never even had the thought to frame something that way, to share it with people, to really then be disarming, or even to give them then the freedom or the autonomy to be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that question, right? Rather than like, oh, this guy like thinks he's smarter than us or better than us, or like, oh, he thinks we're doing something wrong, or who knows, whatever. But that was like the first hour of Leadership West. That wasn't even like the rest of that year. And then like now the last like 4 or 5 years of not just our friendship, but like so many other friendships and professional relationships. And, it was same thing. I think maybe a couple months into Leadership West, and I told Gabe, like, because I had told them, I don't want to do this thing. I'll do it as a favor. You know, I was still like, let
me quiet them down.
Yeah, geez, I'll do them a favor. I'll do it, right? And then it was like just a couple weeks into that, and I'm like, this is awesome. You have to do this next year. Like, there's no choice. You have to do this. Like, I need you to be in that room, like with them. And then like his wife and other friends and like other, like every year I'm like reaching out to you and Allison and like, hey, like I need who's in there. Does anyone need help paying for it? Like what do they need? Like we need more people going through this, because like I need people coming out of Leadership West in the West Valley, like informed and connected and ready, like to make this place a better place, so that, you know, there's really cool dog groomer shops and really cool like insurance shops and like, you know, cool coffee shops and stuff like that. Like this is home for me, and I want it to be just the best place in the whole.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I thought you were going to ask me those questions.
No, I just wanted to hear your story. And again, your leadership philosophy is so different than most people. And so I wanted people to hear that it's okay to be a little bit on the reluctant side, or to embrace the way that you can lead, instead of trying to be somebody else, or, you know, trying to look a certain way. I think I did that in my first couple of years of counsel. Like, well, this is all how they all act, you know?
Yeah. You got to do the same thing.
Yeah. And then I realized it didn't fit me at all. And you got to figure it out. And then you're like, but what does that look like? And that in itself is a process.
Yeah.
Does this work? Yeah, that feels right. No, that kind of didn't. Like, it's such a weird experience that we don't talk about a lot. Yeah. But yeah, so I love that. And again, you know, 30 people are sitting in the class, and there's some days like any other teacher or instructor, I'm like, is this worth it? Like, am I saying anything that means anything? Is this working? And so I appreciate you even just saying that impacted you so much.
Deeply.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on the briefing room. We hope you enjoyed your experience, and we hope people will tune in. YouTube, follow us, subscribe, and enjoy.